Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. My name's David OC and today we're reviewing the Renault Arkana. Now, this car we've actually already done a little bit of a first drive on it and it did really impress us. However, getting to spend a little bit more time in it, you learn some of the nuts and crannies of it and also just get a better feel for the car. Now, what is it? That's a big question because it's a coupe and an SUV, and generally we only see these in kind of the more premium cars, things like Mercedes, Audi and BMW. They all do the SUV coupe quite well, but for the masses, Renault are now giving it a chance, and actually there's not that much competition for that style of car. We have the Toyota CHR and of course the Renault's brother, the Citroen C4. Now let me know, what do you prefer, the Citroen C4 in terms of looks or the Renault? And anyway, leave that comment below. We're going to get straight into this review discussing the engine, specs, what we think you should go for, and of course, what's it like to drive. If you'd like to search for new Renaults for sale in Ireland, you can hit the link up there. Now let's get into the review. In terms of price, the Arkana starts at a touch over 30,000 euros. However, it does vary when it comes to spec, but also engines. Now, engines, surprisingly, there's actually only two, making life quite easy. If I can open the bonnet. I swear it was so easy just before. So under the bonnet of this, we've got a 1.3 litre engine, and that has 140 horsepower. It's a really nice engine. It's got a mild hybrid system, or I think the word that Renault use is a micro hybrid. And that doesn't really do a whole lot. It improves the stop start, and it also gives a little bit more torque off the line. Then there's also the E-Tech hybrid. Now that one is a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine, and it's actually paired with two electric motors, and it's quite a clever system. So it develops about 145 brake horsepower, but it uses one of the electric motors to actually change the gear. It's quite a complicated thing, we won't go too far into it, but it is really nice. Now, interestingly, there's only about 1,400 euro in the difference between the ordinary 1.3 litre and the hybrid version. My advice is actually go for the hybrid version. It's going to future-proof it. And another thing to note is there's no diesels, there's no fully electric version, which I think maybe Renault missed the boat on that one a little bit. And it is only available with an automatic gearbox, it's a really nice gearbox actually. Anyway, let's talk about the different specs. Now, if you're into your SUVs that are also coupes, you're gonna like this side angle with the rear dropping roof there. It does look quite well. Now, in terms of spec, there's actually a couple different options available, 3 to be more specific. So at the entry level, 30,000 euro, you've got the Iconic. Now, it's actually well equipped in itself. It comes with lane assist. It has all the safety features like accident emergency braking. Then if you want to upgrade for about 2,500 euros, you can get the S edition. That's what this is, and I think you'll agree with me, it's pretty nice looking, and you'll see throughout the rest of the review it's very well spec'd. It includes things like a bigger screen in the center console there. You also get these 18-inch diamond cut alloy wheels, which really do give it a lot more presence in the road. And then the creme de la creme for about 35,000 euros is the RS line, and that goes without saying, it's really well spec'd. It does include some things like heated seats and a few other extras, which make it that little bit better. But that is the specs as a whole. So let's check out the practicality of the boot and then we'll go for a drive as well. I really like the light bar along the rear. That actually makes it look a little bit more premium, particularly at night time. Now, when you open up the boot, it's surprisingly bigger than you'll actually have expected. So the car is a little bit longer than the Renault Captur, which I think you'd expect, but also the Renault Kadjar, which is surprising, and for that reason it actually is a quite big boot. 513 litres to be specific, but if you go for the hybrid one, because the batteries are actually just placed underneath the boot floor, it's only about 480. In terms of storage, you can see there's a split floor level there, which is great. The seats fold down. The only thing is you kind of have to go around the side to do it. Other than that, the boot has no load lip. It's really easy to get things in and out of. It's a decent size, and you're not really suffering considering it's a coupe, so it actually gets my tick of approval there. Now, in the rear, so this is where it gets a little bit interesting because it is obviously a coupe, and my first thought is it's a little bit dark in here, and actually I don't think you can get a panoramic sunroof, so that problem is going to stay. Now, in terms of child seats, the ISOFIX point's really easily accessible, so that's great if you've young children. In fact, if you've young children in here, the sloping roofline, it does make a lot of sense. Then you've loads of knee room, and again, headroom for someone my size. It's not awful, to be fair. It's actually more than I expected it to be, but again, it's not a tremendous amount. You also have some nice creature comforts like a folding armrest with 2 drink holders, and there's actually 2 USB chargers down here, which is very handy if you've young kids, you want to keep them charged on a long drive down the country for your holidays. Now, in the interior, it's actually really nice in here, surprisingly so. Now, I do have a low battery sign on my dash because we've been filming here for an hour or two, so I'm going to turn on the engine. It's a push start. Now, I guess the standout thing in here, there's kind of 3 things. It's the infotainment system, the steering wheel, and the seats. So we'll begin with the seats. They kind of appear like a Volvo, and they are really comfortable, completely adjustable. It is manual, but they are adjustable. Then we'll go to the steering wheel. The finish on the steering wheel, sublime. It's a really nice leather feel, and it just feels a lot more expensive than a 32 or 33,000 euro car. So hats off to Renault on that one. And then the infotainment system. So as I said earlier, on the Iconic, it's a little bit smaller. This one's bigger, and to be fair, it's actually really good. Now, it's not as sophisticated and as quick and as clear graphics as something like you'll see in an Audi or a BMW, but again, Renault are making this more affordable to get you into an SUV coupe. In terms of how it works, you've got everything, your navigation, all your different apps, and what I do really like is if you've got an iPhone, you will have to plug it in, or an Android for that matter. You can just plug it in down there and your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto comes up, and it's brilliant, it's seamless, it's quick to connect as well, and you can just use it as you like. So that's that system. Then over here you can actually get a full digital display, and it does look really, really well. But again, super easy to use. It's just got all the information you could possibly need in front of you. And as a whole, again, as I said, it's nice and comfortable. There's a good bit of storage in there, a glove box, door bins, and yeah, it's really nice to sit in. One last feature I want to talk about is actually, I really like the climate control, the way it works. Just nice bit of finesse. Anyway, let's go for a drive. So to drive, well, if you've driven a Renault in recent years, it's very similar. So that's a good starting point. I think the standout feature for me is, as I said earlier, they're all automatic, and actually the automatic gearbox is really, really good in this 1.3 litre version. In terms of the width and the size, you do feel ever so slightly elevated, but it's not gigantic and it's quite narrow. It actually feels about the size of a Ford Focus, which is really nice. You're not really worrying about curbing your wheels and all that. Then in terms of the seating positions, lovely. A couple things to point out, I guess a big one is to do with the driver aid. So what I really do like, and I noticed this on a motorway drive yesterday, is it's kind of got what I'm going to call 2-stage lane assist. So the first is essentially lane departure warning. So if you start to veer out of your lane, once you get to the white line, it will correct you. And the second is lane keep assist, is what I'm going to call it. I'm not sure the exact term, but what that does is it actually keeps you centered in your lane. Now, you do have to kind of keep your hands on the steering wheel or it'll start beeping at you, but it is very good, to be fair to it, and it's very easy to use, and it can of course be turned off, which is most important. And other than that, as I said, you've got your Apple CarPlay there, and it just drives really, really nicely. So this, being the S edition, comes with blind spot monitoring, which is really handy if you're on the motorway. You don't have to reach around and turn around your neck. It actually just tells you there if there's someone in the other lane, which again, just a lovely little feature that it's not necessary, but it just makes day-to-day driving a lot easier. Another feature that it does have is a reversing camera. Now that is actually quite fundamental because the rear view isn't fantastic. In fact, it's because of having that sloping rear roof line, it just means you don't have a whole lot of visibility. So to be able to just use the reversing camera is really, really nice. Now, one thing I noticed this morning, I was sitting in the car sending a few texts before I took off, and the world's biggest bird took the world's biggest poop on my windscreen, and that meant that I actually had to use the windscreen wipers, and I'm not expecting it to clear the poo because it was a lot, but I did notice, and I think it'll be quite hard to hear, there's a little bit of a noise with them that doesn't feel all that premium, but I mean, I completely let that go, and realistically I'm nitpicking at this stage. But yeah, bit of a nightmare having a bird poo on your car. Don't know if you can hear that. That's the noise there. So there you have it. That is DoneDeal's review of the Renault Arkana. And I have to say, it's actually really nice to drive. It has this thing, actually I must show you this. So it's got a key card, that's very distinctive to Renault. And when you step more than about 30 centimeters away from it, it locks and unlocks, which we've noticed massively whilst filming this review. But as a whole, it's really nice. A couple things to note is that Renault, when I went to the launch of this car a few months ago, estimated that about 60% of people buying this will actually be previous Renault customers. So that says a lot for Renault and how people stay loyal to the brand, they enjoy the cars. Another thing I saw is that you can actually PCP it for about €250 a month, which that does make it very, very attractive. Now, let me know, would you consider buying this, the C4, the Toyota CHR? Would you go completely different and get a Ford Puma? Let us know in the comments below. But a big thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed the review. We hope you've learned something from it. And if you have any feedback at all, please leave it in the comments below. And until next time, we'll see you soon.